cmpradio.net. It's the station.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Made it to another Friday, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah. And it's raining. So many benefits, so many things to choose from to talk about. But how you doing? My question. How you feeling? How's everything going?
Tired.
Yeah.
I gotta get something to stop me from snoring. I'm not getting a good night.
Inshallah.
Oh man.
Inshallah. Me personally, I just want to get better, get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want my circumstances to change. Our whole city, not just myself, whole city, our circumstances to change. I want us to be better. I want us to think better, do better, be better, as best I can. You know, I guess it starts with the self.
It does.
If you the example, if you're trying to set the example, then be that example. I say that from last night, man. Last night's show, watching the Parenting with a Purpose and preparing our children for school, or preparing the loved ones for school, is of utmost importance.
It is. It is.
How they mentally, physically, and emotionally go into those buildings to get their education is important. What we sending out is a reflection of who we are, a little bit of a reflection of who we are, what kind of households we running, what kind of parents we are. You know, each one of those personalities and or little people that we sending in is a reflection of the household or circle or atmosphere that they be in the most. And if it's chaotic, if it's hurtful, if it's stressful, if it's a bunch of nonsense going on in the house, of course that child is going to reflect that behavior in his or her character inside those buildings where they should be at their best. Their minds, their bodies, they should go to school and be smiling and be looking forward to a high level of education to get out of these low level societies that they put us in. Meaning the projects, or meaning the hoods, or the places where they say you can't take it out of us, you know? They label us those things. You know, you can take the person out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the person.
That's good though.
To some extent.
No, that's good though.
To some extent. If taking bad character, foul speech and
Who said that was hood?
But that's what they label us. I'm not going to say a certain phrase.
That's what we label ourselves as. Everything that's good in our community. A person that can speak, a person that can read, he speaks white.
Say that again, the last part.
He speaks white. They're saying
they say that. Yeah.
Right.
Or nerdy, or you too sedity or nerdy.
But who gives him that name? But the hood. Like, we accept things that we should not accept, and we fall for a trick that is about 500 years in the making, right? And we continue to put ourselves through the same precursors that we were put through years and centuries ago, right? And we do that because that is our defense. That is our default action.
One of many that I think we all need to let go. People love ethnicity, has to let go of responding the way they expect us to respond. Belligerent, ignorant, quick to fight at some, even when we're wrong, want to hurt and want to slander and disrespect. I'll give you an example. A nice looking woman or girl, walks past or is around, and you try to shoot your shot. What's up, mommy? You know. And she gives you no time of day. It's the first thing flies out of our mouth.
Oh, fuck you.
Thinking, man, you got all kinds of things, right, but that's the only response.
But that shouldn't be.
That you saw your homies do. You repeating.
You don't do everything your homie do.
But we gotta be. We gotta learn to do that. If I, which is my subject today, dealing with negligence. I wanted to talk about negligence when we neglect our duties as men, when we neglect our duties as parents, when we neglect our duties as believers, as good people or good citizen. When you neglect and not put into practice those things that make you a good person, a truth teller, an understanding or loving individual, something else replaces it. I would say ignorance, bad character, bad behavior. And as much as you want, or a person wants to hide those ill characteristics within oneself, when we don't have our way, or when we neglect being that person, seriously that person, those ugly characteristics come out immediately. And that's one thing, but neglect, so many avenues to come off of neglect. I will start with one. Number one is when you neglect His Majesty. I have to say it. It's my thing. That's who I am. Allah knows best. But when you neglect the rights of His Majesty, He leaves you to yourself and your own ignorance and your own bad characteristics you have to deal with, meaning how you hurt people, how they respond to you. You find yourself alone. Nobody wants to be around you, this and that, because you're neglecting being real. Allahu Alam. But neglect of His right, neglect of Allah's right over you leaves you to be susceptible to all kinds of attacks from the shaitan, a'udhu billah, from the devil or from a demon or whatever it is that you have around you or on you. You open yourself up to that. And as much as we want to blame, fight, disrespect, or harm somebody else, that thing stays with you until you get rid of it. It's something that no matter where you go, they call it a bad vibe. It's because I'm not putting on myself the protection of His Majesty. I'm not putting on myself awareness of who, what, when, and where. I'm not putting on myself awareness of my surroundings, who I am. I'm not even paying no mind to that. Just totally neglecting His Majesty's rule over me. How can I expect you to be a hand in my life or a favor in my life if I'm giving you nothing in return? Not even a first praise in the morning upon opening one's eyes. It's total neglect. Mm-hmm. And the consequences are apparent.
They are.
That's one thing. Second, neglect. And Allah, I want to come back to the first because that's my thing. Allah and His Majesty and His rule over us and what he wants from us in order to get what we want from him. We can't neglect those things. And if we do, then we prolong our blessings from fully coming to us as they should. And Allah knows best. Second is neglect of self-discipline, self-awareness, what can I put there as a third?
Self-love, self-inventory.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard. It's hard though. I mean, both are hard, but both come with great reward.
What?
There's nothing simple in this world. Nothing. And I'm hashtagging who said it was easy. Right? Because that's where I am right now. Right? Who said it was easy?
Is that a question?
No, it's a hashtag. That's what I put now on my post. Right? Who said it was easy? Right? It's gonna be hard. Yeah. Listen, man, you can be down on your knees crawling in glass and nails and things that hurt you the worst. Don't give up.
Alhamdulillah, very well put. This ad-dinu nasiha. Another thing I want to say, the Prophet, peace be upon him, advised his ummah, and he told his companions and the people who were spreading his word, the word out of greater good, was that most of our religion, most of our way of life is predicated on advice. Meaning, I trust you, brother, enough to know that if you see something wrong in me or something wrong in my walk or in my wake, you're going to pull me up on it. You're going to tell me where I'm. That's a brother. That's a man of faith.
You can't do that today with young, stubborn, hungry bulls. That's what we are. Right, we everyone's in this bull cage trying to get to their point of success. They don't care who they have to trample on.
That's bad
to get there.
That's a bad thought.
Even if a brother comes and I have like the purest intentions when I tell somebody something.
No,
I don't want you to do what I want you to do. No. I've just already tried that. And it didn't work.
Son.
It didn't work.
Nephew.
No, not even son and nephew, brother.
Brothers. Right.
I don't want to stand over top of you. Look at these scars on my back.
Very well
Look
put,
at these
brother.
Scars on my face.
I neglected the same things you neglected.
I don't want you to have
Please
to deal
don't.
with what I have to deal with. I don't want you to have to walk down what I have to walk down.
The pain of a mother passing away and you not being able to say sorry or fix the situation of being such a disrespectful child.
That's your fault. You did that.
I did
that.
It's some people can say I don't care and yeah, whatever. That bitch can die about their own mom. It's people that's like that. Let's call a spade a spade. But I also saw the flip side of it. The regret one has that they don't have her no more. They don't have nobody to beat up and throw it all on no more. They don't have nobody to disrespect anymore. You allow your friends to call you and treat you any kind of way. And you turn around and treat your parents that way.
I see death differently. I see death as a door opening.
I see death as the easy part.
I don't know what's on the other side of that door. There's no way possibly that it could get any worse than what's on this side.
I beg to differ.
Let's think about what happens.
Go
here.
ahead.
Everything happens here.
Everybody dies too.
Everything happens here.
No.
You can burn to death. Right? I'm just saying.
I'm listening.
In this reality right now, everything is on the table. There's nothing that's off the table.
For a better or worse situation.
For everything.
But we prepping for a better or worse situation.
Depending on how you're living your life. Absolutely. Right? How you live your life now will dictate what you go through when you die. You understand what I'm saying? We understand that, right? But I don't see, for someone like my mother, I don't see a bad situation for her.
Alhamdulillah.
I see happiness for her.
Yes.
She gets to see her husband, her mother, her father, her cousins, her nieces.
And
she gets to see all of her. So why would I personally want to keep my mother somewhere where she is not 100% happy? I would be happy for her. You understand what I'm saying? The fact that she is reunited with
Relieved from my stress,
Bro,
from my mess,
from the stress,
from my disrespect,
from the stress of this world,
Man.
bro. I put so much.
That's another neglect.
Animosity in between our relationship. You feel me? Be it because I lost my dad when I was 12. So the only person I then had was my mother. I put a lot of pressure on my mom, bro.
Me and you both.
I put a lot of pressure on my mom, bro.
But the one way I found to relieve my mom of her headache of me, right?
Is to remove it.
To change, to actually start living up. We'll never be able to be perfect, but at least if, in my mom's eyes, she see me change it. And part of that change is to get up without her telling you, take out the damn trash, clean up your room. Yes, ma'am, no oof, no back talk, none of that stuff.
None of it.
Show a change. She'd be so shocked, like, she come and pinch you probably. I'm not dreaming.
When I came home from jail, I promised her, I said, I won't never ask you for a dime.
What?
I won't never wait on you the way I weighed on you before. I won't never hold you to the things that I should be held accountable for. You feel me? I realized that when I was locked up, right? So when I came home, it was, what you need, Mom? You okay? Everything good? You feel me?
Yes.
Now me starting this radio station and working all the jobs that I have and doing everything that I'm doing, I find myself, talking to her less, but I think about her every day.
I can't help it.
You know what I mean?
The reason I know my languages, Spanish, English, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, any kind of cry, right? It was to her first.
Right.
Not that that was my third, and it can be my third. The neglect of the parent or the guardian or the teacher or the principal who means you well. You neglect their right over you. Is that you show up ready for work if it's your boss that's treating you well and paying you well. Is that you put into practice those many lessons that guardian, teacher, principals, you show, like it's like a student walking into a class with no books, no pencil, no nothing. A fashion show. That's how the teacher quickly differentiates between what students want to know what. That's why you get fitted in a certain spot inside the classroom, because the teacher's reading you. Your dress code is a grade. Your speech is a grade. Your conduct around others and how well you get along with others is a grade. But it's also a life's lesson.
It is.
Those classrooms and those situations about school. And again, last night, so many things were running through my mind. Who and what are we sending into those schools? If the home is, number one, again, back to number one, is negligent of God's right over it. Not only the parents, because it's not only the parents that have responsibility to God, it's the whole household at large. We all play a part, especially to the first, second, and third graders coming out of that house after watching it flip twice already. One is watching the parents get off of drugs, or if they on drugs or whatever. Two is watching the teenager or the firstborns that are older now, that are very negligent of themselves and very negligent of their influence over the smaller generation that's coming up behind them. And we're talking about sending them to school with 2 generations of ignorance. Nobody teaching them anything. They cussing the teacher out. They cussing the principal out. They got the dress code is all off. They got some of these parents sending kids to school in the 3rd grade with eyelashes, and think it's funny that they cuss you out. If you neglect yourself and finding out what God's right over you is and putting that into practice. And if you neglect yourself and you don't put into practice those things that the good parents are teaching you, especially our young women. And Allah knows best. But self-neglect, not properly cleansing yourself, is of grave importance. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went to his youngest wife and taught her how to properly cleanse herself on her menses, and even offer her menses how to, dry, wet. Make sure you a believing woman. You want to be the mother of the believers. You a leader. You a mother. You have to be cleansed inside and out. Very well so. Leave no room for shaitan to use you to mislead the up and coming generation after you. And then you turn around and you teach your daughter or your niece or your young cousins how to cleanse themselves and how to respect themselves and how to cover themselves properly, even if they don't use hijab. Because hijab is just more than clothing. Hijab is the way you walk, sister. Hijab is the way you talk, sister. Hijab is the way you lower your gaze when you see the engagement of shaitan. Those boys, those men, those harami situations that are so tempting, easily for the woman, because shaitan comes to you women more than he comes to the men, because he know you are a persuasion. And if shaitan, a'udhu billah, I hate to give him credit, a'udhu billah, if he's doing his job and pulling us away from the Sirat, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, when are we going to do our jobs and defending ourselves from his, never-ending attacks? Don't listen to your mom. They don't know what they're talking about. This God thing is too hard. It's too many letters. It's too many rules. It's too many, shaitan. Here goes some money, huh? Here goes some false and fake friends to call you and pull you and get you so busy into the world, into the dunya, money, cars, clothes, and all that. You ain't got no time to be a good person or work on your character or work on what you sending out there into the world as far as your progeny is concerned. And Allah knows best. And this all comes from neglect. If I'm neglecting on how to be a king, how can I be a king when I'm put in king type or kingship situations? If I'm neglecting on how to be a queen, how can anybody call me a queen if I don't know how to be a queen? I was never taught to be a princess, or I never walked in the shoes of a princess. I just want to be a God forgive me, a hood rat all my life. God forgive me, but it has a description for a reason. You can't like being like that all the time, morning, noon, and night, 24/7. Like you just don't want no kind of good to come to you. What kind of self-neglect is that? That's like saying that God wasted his time putting you on this earth.
Absolutely.
And God don't make no mistakes. You, sister or brother, young or old, are not or cannot be a mistake. If I can see you, you're a reflection of the same blessings I got. Great gratitude for being on the earth. Gratitude for another day. Gratitude for being given a chance to make things right and fix things right with not only Allah or God, but with your parents and the people that you hurt along the way. You cannot neglect. Here's another neglect. Number 4, neglect of repenting daily. Saying I'm sorry, knowing when you're wrong, knowing when to change. The more you stay away from being swallowing your pride and humbling yourself and admitting when you're wrong and actually changing the situation to make it a better situation, the worse it gets for you, because you're going to find yourself alone. Nobody's going to believe you. You're a liar now. You everything that you get, you throw it down the drain. You got this characteristic that everybody is legible to everybody, like the person who's always begging and I don't got no problem with giving. I don't have a problem, and neither should you. But if the same person is there every day, all the time, it's obviously they don't want to change, or they got majnooni, they crazy, or they got something where the pen is lifted from them, and you always give those type of people. Allah made them with a defect, mental defect sometimes. And he says he lifted the pen from them, retardation and things like that, mental disorders. But if you fully capable, nothing wrong with you, and you choose to neglect God's right, your own right, the right of the parents, meaning put those, don't always be a beggar. I taught you how to fish. Go get your own grub. Go get your own. Eventually, you're going to catch on to their game. Mm-hmm. It's legible, Don't let your negligence be legible. That's a good advice. Ad-dinu nasiha, to myself and to others. Do not let what you don't know be obvious on you, especially if you envy somebody for the greater good. You see, the only time you should envy or be jealous of somebody is if they have a knowledge or a wealth or something that they give in for the sake of Allah, and you can see the greater good coming from it. Like I'm allowed to envy Malcolm X or Martin, the people who put out influence. I want to know how they moved the crowd, how they move with God inside of them. You know, that God vibe, that good vibe. I want to know. I want to put that out there too, so I can get the same blessing where 100, 200, 300 years go by and your name is being remembered. Subhanallah. How about 10 years go by, 20 years go by, and all they can remember of you was how you spit in your mom's face? 10 years go by, all they can remember is all you did was steal from them or shoot needles in your arm. 10 years, 20 years go by, on your own kids and your own progeny, the only thing they remember from you is how much you backbit and slandered your own people. How you couldn't get along with nobody and you robbed people. You were about, alive or dead. All they got about you is bad thoughts and bad memories and bad things to say. And when you die, you can't find one person to say one good thing about you.
Not one.
That's neglect. That's when God's mercy is before his wrath. Know that. That's an advice that's true. God will forgive you before he punishes you. He'll send you warning after warning, after trial after trial. You know how many people, even myself sometimes, you in the midst of your funk and who you are, and you go to somebody and you tell them some sob story just to get what you want, and they believe you and give you what you want, even though knowingly you're going to go do the same thing again. That's God still showing you chance after chance after chance. But one day, it's going to be no more. One day your neglect of his majesty, self, the lessons that your parents taught you, and your character, your neglect of perfecting your character to show God that you are worthy of the blessings that you asked for. One day, that's even while you're alive. You don't have to wait till you die. One day ain't nobody gonna believe you. One day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be in a box.
Yep.
Called a cardboard box somewhere in anguish and in that pain of being alone, wanting to blame everybody else, but deep down inside, it was from your own negligence. So I ask God Almighty to help us wake up and not neglect the things that we need to pay attention to, so when we do get of age or of a certain age, that we'll have it all together, at least a little bit. Enough to notice what we sending out of our households at 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old. It's of vital importance. Their mental status, their spiritual status, who they are, who they believe they need to be. We can't neglect that. Can't. Allahu Alam.
Neglect it's so easy. There's no real work. There's no real work ethic in neglect. You just be, all right, fuck it. You don't want to take the trash out? You ain't got to work to not take the trash out. That's neglect. You don't want to clean up in front of your neighborhood? You don't have to work to clean up in front of your neighborhood? That's neglect. You see kids being disrespectful?
Nice.
You don't want to say anything to them? That's neglect. You have an opportunity every day to do more than you did the day before. Just do it.
Yes.
Just help someone. Talk to someone. Clean up something. There are enough of us in this community.
Men, yes.
Enough men and enough women.
Go ahead.
That we don't have to sit back and watch everything fall apart. There are enough people that want to be builders. There are enough people that want to be carpenters. There are enough people that want to be electricians. There are enough people that want to be welders. There are enough people where we can rebuild our community. But it takes people working, listen to what I'm saying, working together in unison to get a job done. Yes. We have abandoned houses. We have abandoned buildings. All of these things are the front line of building a community. If we build these houses up, and we then give them out to or rent them out to people that can afford to pay rent, or we put them in low income, right? Something. Right. Now people have homes. Now you can sell that to them, make them pay the taxes on it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, because if we're building up something, we're not too much worried about anything that's not benefiting all of us.
Right.
We have people that have money. We have people that don't have money. We have people that are rich. We have people that are wealthy. We have people that can do more and choose to do less. We have people that are more concerned with the zeros on their bank account than they are worried about the people in their community.
Yeah, they say some of the poorest people that walk the face of the earth are the ones with money.
I don't know.
You ever heard that?
Yeah. I don't know why we continue to believe that if I can do it, they can do it. Well, maybe they never saw it done before. Maybe they never understood. Maybe they don't have the same zeal that you have inside of you to do the things that you want to do. So give it out. Let me tell you what happens when you give of yourself. God replaces, and he gives you more. He gives you more to give. You give, and you give more, and you receive more, and you give more, and you receive more. And then your light goes out. That's just life.
Yeah.
That's what life is supposed to be.
Catch the wave.
Not that take so I can store, so I can have money over here. Not that let's make sure their school district sucks. Let's make sure their moms and dads are fighting. Let's make sure we keep that tumultuous relationship going so we can destroy another generation of children.
Drugs and guns in the house.
Let's put drugs and guns and alcohol and everything else in the house. Now listen, I don't knock anybody for partaking and taking, time away. Right? I will never be that person to sit here because I've been there.
Right. And
I understand what it did for me. It didn't do anything good, but it allowed me to see what it was taking from me. Right?
Bullets don't tickle. Bullets don't tickle. And ignorance and neglect leads you to end up committing suicide. If you neglect your God right, when you really need to turn to somebody, you won't trust nobody.
Nobody.
If you neglect your parents right over you, when you really need your parent ain't going to want to talk to you after so much pain and ain't never believe you. It's like the little boy who cried wolf.
I don't know what kind of parent that is. I've never ran into a parent.
It's some.
I've listened.
If you a parent and you truly, truly, truly believe in His Majesty the way you should, you know that your love has certain limits. You know from the stories of prophecy, like Noah. Noah was told, and the Lord told Noah blatantly, they are not your family. The ones who mocked you, the ones who ridicule you for believing in faith, the ones who tell you that your faith ain't real, spit in your faith, spit on your faith, spit in your face, give it back to you like it ain't real after they understand it. Allah told Nuh when he saw his son drowning and he cried because we cry and we feel bad for the ones that we gotta, walk away from sometimes because of, that ain't my child. I didn't teach you that. That didn't come from me. That hatred, that disrespect of self and other people. I didn't teach you that. So sometimes you got to turn the other way and allow them to learn their lesson. That comes from faith, though. If you ain't got no faith, you're always going to be trampled on by the people that you love because they the ones that can get to you the most. And if you don't have a line they can't cross or a boundary that they shouldn't cross and none of that, then you're always going to be the one to hurt them. They think they care. After the first time they did it and got away with it, subhanAllah, it's neglect. But the parent that is not neglectful of God's right over them, the parent who strives even in pain and even in struggle, is the one who knows his or her limits. Get out. My mom put me out at 16, bro. Get out with all the stuff you bringing on me and this and that. She knew I can only leave you to God. Right. You're not going to keep bringing this devil into my house. I'm already went through it for 16 years with you and your brothers and this and that. And they trying to explain to you what you doing to them. Listen, God's mercy is before his wrath. Before she put you out, before she put her hands on you, before she go calling the authorities and try to have you put away somewhere for the stupid stuff that you bringing into her world or into her house because it's her house, she come and talk to you. She come and have mercy on you. Please. But what we do, negligent of the fact that even in those moments you can put your head down, humble yourself. Mom, you right. This is why I'm acting like this, and give it to her and let her be or him be a mom or a dad. No, we take it out on them and make our bad situation worse by being put out in the street. And because of pride, we still won't say sorry. We go move and live somewhere else and jump right out the skillet into the fire. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. Stop neglecting. Stop being neglectful and start paying attention to, especially the youth. Take advantage of your time. If you're going to be in these relationships, and this is Adinul Nasiha side note, if our youth, our teens, y'all going to be in these illicit, crazy relationships, only have one partner. Get one partner. Why I'm saying that? It's important that if you're going to be with somebody, get to know that person thoroughly in and out, and outside of the bed, have a relationship. Your relationship cannot be strongly built on sex. Sex alone is not what the relationship was about. And if you think this is about that, when he get tired of you or she get tired of you, she going to jump and bounce and be under the next person in a matter of seconds. All right. But, to the youth, if two look in the kitchen, your mom or somebody that that can cook real well, they take their kitchen personal, right? They don't want nobody in the kitchen with them, your secret recipes. I know plenty of mothers like that. They take their kitchens personal, right? So you young people, you should take your bodies personal. Young women, your body, your mental, your spiritual, you should take that kind of stuff personal. But if you're too busy with the Tom, Dick, and Harry and everybody face, you're neglecting yourself and your duties to yourself. You don't know where to stand up for yourself. You don't know where to, cut the relationship off if it's pulling you away from the good person that you are. Subhanallah. Don't neglect. But if it's too many hands in your meal, back to the young ladies, and Allah knows best, I have to say this. If it's too many hands in your cooking pot, the meal gonna be terrible. Too much salt one person, too much pepper another person, too much season. If you got too many niggas inside of you, I'm gonna say that. Let's call a spade a spade. You ain't gonna have nothing left for when God sends you the actual one person for you. You know what I mean?
Damn.
You don't put too many hands, too many hands in the cooking pot ruins the meal. I hope y'all understand that clear. I shouldn't have to break it down too much without being too explicit. Get one partner. Focus on that person. Just give them a chance or whatever. They cute or whatever. Okay, cool. But what more do you have? What are your ambitions? What are your future goals? And y'all work on those together. It gives both parties enough space to work on who you are, what you want to be, your future. If you're young and in a relationship, get the best out of it. Don't talk to many people. Talk to one person, but still focus on your life, your future. Don't neglect that kind of stuff. And if a man or girl, a man or boy, or a boy or girl is stopping you from getting to your goals, then that person ain't for you. Simple. Allahu Alam. So again, I just wanted to talk about negligence a little bit. And ask Allah, I'm asking God Almighty to let me taste my own words before I give them to anybody else. I ask Allah for freedom of riyah, doing this whole situation for other than His sake. I ask Allah to get the message through to who needs to hear it, and that they embody that and become something better than what they statistically saying we about, Chester. What they statistically saying we about Black, Puerto Rican, ethnicity, the ethnic crew, the ethnic folk. They got us balled up into statistics, and we got to be better than that. But if we negligent of our obligations, then we only making them right. And Allah knows best. They calling us dumb. They calling us stupid. They calling us, jail bait. They calling us, I hate the word, use the word, But that's what they think of us. And when we act like what they think of us, then we make them right. Let's prove them wrong. Inshallah. I ask Allah, to forgive us for our wrongs. I ask Allah to bless our parents, our teachers, our principals, the people that are out there pushing out good with penny loafers sometimes. They don't have the same Jordans you have. They don't have the same car you have. They don't have the same lifestyle you have of ice and this and that, but they putting out the greater good. And that's more valuable than anything you can put on the table. Each one teach one. No child left behind. Who are you sending out to your schools this year? It's of grave importance. It's Friday. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for plenty of forgiveness for us all. Let's do this, P. That's what we doing.
We done.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.